It recently resurfaced that he had dated a 19-year-old when he was 39, had an affair with the wife of a campaign manager, and was addicted to alcohol. Or as Hunter calls it, amateur.
There is no bigger fan of Gavin Newsom than Bill Maher. He loves the guy. Bill, snap out of it. And he had Gavin Newsom on his show on Friday night. Couple of sound bites making the rounds, including this one on the trans issue, SOT 19.
A lot of people lately talking about this 80-20 issue, and I think you are on the other side of this now, the side with the 80. 80 being 80% of the people in this country. Again, this is the issue of should biologically born men be able to compete in women's sports.
That's tough.
And, I saw the polling here in California.
When you combine Gavin Newsom's hair gel habit with the brain power of a broken Roomba, you get a shiny political mess that's both boring and ridiculous. But don't worry, Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly just tore into California's chaos, and the result is wild. If you've ever wondered what happens when arrogance meets a reality check, get ready. This takedown makes wildfires seem like scented candles. Let's take a look at the Democratic disaster.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors. On Monday, he urged cities to ban the camps from sidewalks, parks, and other public areas. So after years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on a condom as you're leaving a whorehouse. Who hasn't?
What's a condom?
But as always, when a far-left Dem runs for national office, he acts like a Republican. This is where the left...
Poof, Gavin Newsom is like ordering a kale smoothie and realizing it tastes like betrayal and grass. He's California's slick salesman, full of catchy slogans, with a leadership style that feels like a mix of Instagram filters and a failed audition for a musical about dictators. If hypocrisy had a hair gel ad, Gavin would be the face and the shiny forehead of it.
Gavin ponders why Dems lost.
We lost the popular vote and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed. And we need to be humble about that, and we need to have some grace, and we need to understand why. Was it because of the incumbency penalty? Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote-unquote, woke? Was it because of issues with Israel? Was it all of the above? I think we are going through that forensic. We need to understand at the same time, we also have to push back against the whitewaters and headwinds of the Trump administration.
Kennedy, I think the answer is yes.
Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly didn't just roast Gavin Newsom, they cooked him up and served him with a side of political disaster. There's just so much to work with. He's like a piñata full of broken promises and NPR podcasts. Every time you take a swing, another ridiculous idea falls out.
Gavin Newsom claims he only noticed Biden's cognitive decline once during the 4 years Biden was in office. And that one time was when Biden endorsed Gavin Newsom. According to a new poll, the city with the most STDs in the nation is Detroit.
Let's start with Gavin Newsom's favorite move acting. Morally superior, while California looks like a disaster after raccoons trashed a Whole Foods parking lot. Under Newsom, the state isn't just messy, it's a high-tech dystopia run on taxpayer-funded arrogance and solar panels that only work on Tuesdays.
Question, is it fair? And I can give you example after example. Just in my home state, there was someone that won a triple jump by 8 feet. Right. It was fundamentally unfair. We haven't been able to figure that out.
You see, the right has weaponized. One might even say they pounced, Emily, on this issue.
I mean, yeah, of course. It was the right who was just so excited to talk about bathrooms and locker rooms. They just couldn't.
Gutfeld joked that Gavin Newsom leads like he read How to Ruin an Economy for Dummies and used it as a checklist. Megyn Kelly didn't hold back either. She tore into him like a lioness finding a tofu-wrapped deer in designer clothes. Newsom's economic plans. They're like TikTok dances on the edge of a cliff, flashy, awkward, and doomed to crash. Remember when he locked down California like it was Jurassic Park, then went off to the fancy French Laundry restaurant? sipping overpriced wine while telling everyone else to stay home. Gutfeld said, "You don't even need real life is already a comedy sketch written by a tired lobbyist." Meanwhile, his perfectly slick hair never moved, probably held together by the tears of the small businesses he closed. Megyn Kelly nailed it. If hair gel had feelings, it would sue Gavin for emotional abuse.
Gavin's hands. It's time for Gavin's hands.
Welcome to a new segment called Gavin's Hands. He keeps his hands in motion and his hair full of lotion. True, Gavin's views may be idiotic, but his hands moves, well, they're hypnotic. California Governor Newsom's new podcast is out. It's available wherever fine hair care products are sold. And we couldn't help but notice an unintended delight, his unique hand gesture.
Oh, and homelessness. Yeah, Gavin's peaceful resistance. California became the first state to officially allow tent cities under his watch. Homelessness shot up like his ego at a climate summit. But don't worry, he says he cares. Nothing shows compassion like turning Venice Beach into a Mad Max movie with more fences and fewer morals. Greg Gutfeld almost lost it. Newsom cares like your ex, who ghosted you only pretending, and mostly worried about looking good to his friends. Meanwhile, real Californians are dodging used needles like it's a sport and hoping a Whole Foods opens before another opening meth spot does. And his biggest win? Turning the power grid into a roulette wheel, with rolling blackouts and energy bills as high as Manhattan rent. Gavin loves green energy, like a cult leader loves incense, totally obsessed, but out of touch with reality.
What he posted, stand by. It's amazing. Okay, he posts the following. California, under the leadership of radical left Democrat Gavin Newsom, continues to illegally allow men to play in women's sports. This week, a transition male athlete, meaning a male pretending to be a female, at a major event won everything and is now qualified to compete in the state finals next weekend. As a male, he was a less than average competitor. All true. As a female, this transition person is practically unbeatable. This is not fair and totally demeaning to women and girls. Please be hereby advised that large-scale federal funding will...
Megyn Kelly said it clearly. Newsom thinks banning plastic straws is helping the environment, even while wildfires burn half the state. You can't drink oat milk from a bamboo cup if the city is on fire. Gavin, at least the napkins are compostable. And crime. In California, stealing small things is almost a sport, and restorative justice means giving burglars spa vouchers. Gavin's way of handling law and order is like trying to stop traffic with dancing. Defund the police went from a slogan to a complaint. Greg joked that crime is just borrowing in California. Stores lock up deodorant like it's expensive, and security guards need therapy after work. Newsom's answer: blame Texas. When things go wrong, just point somewhere else and hope no one sees you failing.
Absolutely the right, who just couldn't wait to make an issue out of transgender kids. I mean, this is why Gavin Newsom, I think, is having a hard time on his rehabilitation tour as he's launched his podcast. And it's because he's it's impossible for him to run from his actual record because he can't fully disavow it. He can't fully get away from it. It's like how he said, nobody in our office ever used Latinx. And then a million clips were produced of Gavin Newsom himself, let alone his office, saying the word Latinx. He can't fully divorce himself from the last 10 years.
Then there's the school's total chaos. Gavin shut them down for what felt like forever. California kids were doing algebra on slow Zoom, while Gavin gave fancy talks about fairness on a gold yoga mat. Meanwhile, private schools, including the ones his kids went to, stayed open, funny if you believe in logic. Megyn didn't hold back. Public schools in California are like hungover substitute teachers who hate facts. Under Newsom, math scores dropped fast, and kids learned more about microaggressions than multiplication. But Gavin ignores the truth and loves a good photo op. He walks into wildfires wearing designer boots, talking about resilience and equity like saying those words fixes everything. Gutfeld almost laughed out loud. He said Gavin treats disasters like a music festival and is just live streaming the apocalypse in 4K.
See, Newsom wasn't just ignoring the problem, he enabled it because Dems were in a woke crouch, terrified of their loony base. But now that he's seeing the White House, he's got a brand new act, a common sense centrist, just a soccer dad in khakis, fed up with crime and chaos. It's all bull. a costume, a political drag show, and the kids this drag queen is reading to are the gullible voters. He's the classic wolf in sheep's hair gel. Just watch him answer the tough questions.
Any other questions here?
Yes, Governor. California has a terrible homeless problem. Why do you think that is?
I appreciate that question. And I think it's a matter.
And don't even get me started on Gavin's dream to be president. It's the worst secret since Adam Schiff's spray tan, everyone knows it. Newsom wants to run because the country needs more arrogance, broken systems, and more hair products than a clearance sale at a salon. He's not running with real plans, just a cloud of smug so thick it has its own weather. Megyn almost spit out her coffee. She joked he's running to be president of the HOA of hell. She said, a Gavin Newsom America would be the worst Netflix reboot ever. Imagine. Biden with a fancy vocabulary but the self-awareness of a reality TV star.
The governor of any state, what would it be? And you might say, oh, I'd be in Texas, live free or die. No, that's New Hampshire. Just live free, whatever. It's
or just die.
Die, or just, it's California. Because people can live under the most incompetent governance ever. The good news, they appear to be gaining ground among Hamas trannies. That is like a paid laugh. A new book claims California Governor Gavin Newsom secretly funded a monument to himself inside San Francisco City Hall. Apparently the statue is so realistic.
And don't forget Gavin's biggest show, his press conferences, full of drama worthy of a Golden Globe. Mask rules, business closures, moral lectures, then surprise. He's caught at a birthday party with no mask, lots of guests, and fancy wine, clearly saying, do as I say, not as I do. Gutfeld laughed and said, it's not just hypocrisy, it's hypocrisy so bad it's a fire hazard. Gavin shut down churches, weddings, and funerals but let Hollywood sets and fundraisers keep going. He leads like someone who quotes Nietzsche at brunch but pays with coupons.
Put together after Newsom was out there claiming, never.
I hope we can really paint a picture in terms of our consciousness of how impactful this has been on the Latinx community. Latinx and black communities. You've got politicians that are banning not assault rifles, but the word Latinx. They're not even serious.
That's so fun. Gavin, a simple Google search about yourself will serve you well before you make these sweeping claims. But on the same dishonest, disingenuous front, he tried to act like he's the reasonable one on the trans and the...
After Newsom said, I hope we can really understand how this has hurt the Latinx community, people noticed something funny. Some politicians are banning the word Latinx, not guns. Gavin should just Google himself before making big claims. At the same time, he tried to act like the reasonable one on trans kids. Meanwhile, small businesses were hurt worse than a gender studies degree at a truck rally. Gavin's answer to the economic mess. Another committee. He loves bureaucrats, with PowerPoints and no responsibility. And Megyn went hard on taxes under Newsom. California has record money coming in, but also record debt. It's like losing money running a lemonade stand on the sun. Taxes are so high, even the IRS is embarrassed. You pay more to live in a tiny San Francisco home than a villa in Greece, and that includes earthquakes.
Kennedy, a new book. Gavin Newsom funded claims that Gavin Newsom funded a monument of his head in San Francisco City Hall to commemorate his time as mayor. Was he a good mayor? I don't think so.
He was a horrible mayor. Like everywhere he's gone in the state, every big problem has only metastasized.
Gutfeld got it right. Newsom treats taxpayers like they're paying for his personal failures. Every year, more people leave California than contestants on a bad dating show. But Gavin doesn't see a problem. He calls it opportunity zones, which really means make it someone else's problem. Put a fancy name on it, and say it's progress. And don't forget the tech companies leaving. Elon Musk, Oracle, Joe Rogan all left fast, with Joe running to Texas so quick he broke the sound barrier. Gavin's plan: pretend nothing's wrong and tweet Dalai Lama quotes while the unemployment line behind him stretches all the way to Oregon. Even the environment is falling apart. California can't keep water in its reservoirs or leaves off its power lines, but spends billions on trains that go nowhere. Megyn joked, The only people riding Gavin's bullet train are consultants billing by the hour and lobbyists chasing dreams.
Fuck Gavin or Newsom. The hell?
Oh, no,
the hell is. Who's a better
first of all,
actor? I'm not sure. They're both up for an award.
I was watching him on MSNBC. He's got a new hand motion. I was going to text him. It's this. It's got usually it's kind of this, and then he's doing this. He was doing this thing on MSNBC. He's doing this whole thing. Look, he is the fakest person I think I've ever met in my entire life. So synthetic, and honestly, that's very dangerous, incredibly dangerous. He's the type of person that could just stare at you oh yeah, I voted for Trump, and just pass a lie detector test. That is very, very dangerous. Just complete.
Greg didn't just join in, he blew it up. He said Gavin's career isn't a train, it's a symbol for how his whole life goes. Over budget, off track, and pretending to be headed somewhere. And that's being nice. At least trains usually arrive. Gavin's career is more like a bad tour with a leader who forgot how wheels work. Every turn ends in piles of taxpayer bills and photo ops where he smiles like he just cured cancer, holding a selfie stick. He stands there like a mannequin that got polished and looks like a fancy Whole Foods aisle who studied political science. He gives speeches like he's trying to be the next President Bartlett, but instead of the West Wing, he's starring in The Walking Dead, with a budget deficit and zero.
Often approaching things from that sort of mindset.
What do you mean for Trump?
I think there's sort of the grievance narrative that comes from Trump. This notion there is sort of a victim grievance.
They did.
Let's take a closer look at this with a spot shadow or no spot shadow. What exactly is he trying to say here, huh? Is it a mysterious form of sign language for morons? Is he conveying some secret code to terrorists? Is he signaling the Los Angeles Angels to steal third base? But I'm willing to bet that former Californians recognize those hand signals. They're the motions you make to back up a U-Haul as you flee that failed state.
You could put Gavin in a room with just a mirror, and he'd still hold a press conference. He loves his own reflection so much, he probably tries to outvote it and loses. That's right, he'd lose a debate to a mirror. He's like a lifestyle brand gone wild, like a never-ending TED Talk, stuck between crazy and disaster. Sipping oat milk lattes and making climate promises like a used car salesman. If ambition meant smarts, Gavin would have built a spaceship by now. But instead, he's made a monument to average, held together by ego and expensive hair gel. Honestly, he's just one pomade away from opening a theme park called False Promises and Fake Care.
On X, I addressed Gavin Newsom personally. He follows me, so I tagged him. And I'm going to be honest, I begged him to please stop this for all the reasons stated on our YouTube feed. And he didn't get back to me. But I think I was shooting at the wrong public official who follows me, because President Trump is so fearless in this battle. And President Trump, Gavin Newsom ignored me, but President Trump took up the mantle. Big Daddy got out there with his bazooka and was like, I solved this problem, and you governors better freaking go along.
California, once the land of dreams and the tech capital of the world, is now like a bad PowerPoint presentation come to life. There are rolling blackouts, tent cities, and potholes with better roads than Gavin's plans. And through it all, Gavin stands there practicing his I'm not running for president speech, but gives a long talk anyway. Thanks to Greg and Megyn, we see the truth behind the eco-friendly image. This isn't leadership, it's just a show, with a campaign fund to match. The emperor has no clothes, just a $3,000 suit, a personal stylist, and weekly press conferences where he says nothing important. But hey, he did ban plastic straws, so that's something.